Good morning, everyone. This is the fourth in the segment of Yom Tov Revisited, and today we're going to talk about lighting candles on Yom Tov and give tribute to a great woman named Rebetzin Baila. And allow me to introduce her. On the Torah, the Code of Jewish Law called the Torah, there is a parish called the Prisha and the Drisha. It was written by Rabbi Yoshua Falk, his years 1555 to 1614. He was a Talmud of the greats of the Ashkenazic Jewry, the Ramah, the Maharshal, and he had a son. His son was named Rav Yosef HaKohen. Rav Yosef Cohen. Now, Rav Yosef Cohen, in his introduction to the Prisha and the Drisha on Yoreh Deah, comes along and says something beautiful, and that is he pays tribute to his mother. How can I even stop words and not write down to talk about this great, amazing ma'alat ha'isha chashuva v'hagvira, this amazing woman who was so important and so noble. And he goes on and on to talk in superlatives about this woman. Haloi imi morati, my mother, my teacher, harabanit marat Baila, the Rebetzin Baila. And he ultimately says she wasn't just a great woman, she had two chidushim regarding lighting candles on Yom Tov, and he goes on to talk about these two chidushim. Chidush number one, when to say the bracha. So everybody here knows that on Friday night there is one opinion in Shulchan Aruch, brought in the Ramah, that says that you should light candles in such a way in which you first light them, then you cover your eyes, you say the bracha, and then you sort of open your eyes. The idea is that there is an opinion of the Bahag, and a minority view, but an opinion of the Bahag, that says that you cannot light the candles with a bracha and then light them. Namely, the minute you say the bracha, you have basically accepted Shabbos. So therefore it's a catch-22. You have to make a bracha on the candles, but if you make a bracha on the candles, it will be a bracha levatala, a blessing in vain, because you can't light them. So therefore, we light the candles before the bracha, and then we make the bracha. This goes against the ironclad rule that we have throughout every mitzvah in the Torah, in which kol brachot kulam, all the brachot, mevarecha lehem over la'asiyatan, you always make the bracha before the mitzvah, not afterwards. But because of this minority view of the Bahag, we do it on Friday night, because if you accept the Shabbos, you can, of course, light candles. Says this amazing woman, Rebetzin Baila. The fact that women light Yom Tov candles, like Shabbos candles, makes no sense, because on Yom Tov you are allowed to light candles. So even if you accept Yom Tov by virtue of the bracha, lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov, you can still light candles, because we can transfer fire on Yom Tov. So therefore, she says, "Hatenach ba'adlakat nerot leShabbat, sha'acharei habracha asur shuv ba'adlaka." Enough. No, this chiddush is good enough for Shabbos, because on Shabbos, if you make the bracha and accept Shabbos, you can't light candles. Aval b'Yom Tov shemutad la'adlik hanerot b'Yom Tov atzmo. But on Yom Tov, since you're allowed to light candles, mutav shenaseh brikot hanerot ketikuna. It's better that we do the regular procedure of brachot, namely bracha before mitzvah, and therefore liota bracha over la'asiyatan. Bracha first, ladlik ner shel Yom Tov, and then light the candles. So how did the Gdolei HaPoskim basically relate to a woman that came up with a chiddush? So there is a very derogatory Magen Avraham that's on the screen that basically says we should light Yom Tov candles like Shabbos candles and don't make a difference. And then he says, En chokhma la'isha, a woman has no knowledge anyway. Ve'chulei, that ve'chulei, I won't even translate what's next, but I'll just say it in English, and that is that a woman's knowledge is limited to sewing. So he didn't like this chiddush, and he didn't like, I guess, women getting involved in the halachic process. But the overwhelming majority of poskim loved the chiddush. And allow me to quote a few of them very, very quickly. The Dugel Mervava, the famous Dugel Mervava, is known better as Rabbi Yecheskel Landa, or the Nod de Yehuda, his years 1713 to 1795. He ultimately says, indeed, she's right. The halacha should be like her, that on Yom Tov you should make the bracha first and then light the candles. Going on in Jewish history, the Rabbi Akiva Eger that I'm sure everyone have heard of. His real name was Rabbi Akiva Gins. His years 1761 to 1837. He was the rabbi of Posen. Ultimately says that at the end of the day, it makes absolute sense what she said, because the Bahag's Chiddush is limited to Shabbos, has nothing to do with Yom Tov. Namely, even if you accept Yom Tov by virtue of the bracha, it makes no difference. You could still light candles. And Sharei Tshuva, who's a little less known, the Sharei Tshuva wrote a Perush on Shulchan Aruch. His name was Rav Chaim Mordechai Margaliot. His years were 1780 to 1820. He is the brother of the more famous Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margaliot. He basically comes along and says, "Uvedagul mer vavai skim lahalacha delo kahamagen Avraham," and then he adds another point of view that indeed agrees with it. And finally, the Mishnah Brura, who comes along and says, and I quote, "Im kein b'yontiv delo shayachze," on yontiv where there's no problem that by virtue of the bracha you accept yontiv and not be able to light because you're allowed to light. Tevarech v'achar kach tadlik. So as we could see, Rebetzin Baila did win out, and therefore I believe it's the right thing to do. Namely, Shabbos in and of itself is innovative to make the bracha after you light candles. We should leave it and limit it only to Shabbos. Therefore, on Yom Tov, you should first make the bracha and then light the candles, like we do on Hanukkah candles and like we do in every other mitzvah, where we make the bracha first and then we do the mitzvah. The second chiddush that this great Rebetzin Baila had was regard to timing. And allow me to give a very, very small introduction, and I'll quote it from the Griz, who was the son of Rav Chaim Brisker, who basically says that when it comes to Shabbos candles and Yom Tov candles, there's basically two fulfillments, kavod and oneg. And he goes on to say that kavod is everything we do in honor of the day before the day begins. We wash the house, we wash ourselves, we vacuum the rug. But oneg Shabbos is, of course, enjoying the day on the day. And since the Rambam paskins, Kishem shemitzvah lechabed Shabbat v'la'anga, kach kol yamim tovim, this two mitzvot of kavod and oneg, preparing for Yom Tov and then enjoying Yom Tov, also comes and lends itself to Yom Tov and not just to Shabbos. Therefore, even on Yom Tov, we have a mitzvah to mechabed the day, to honor the day before the day begins. As such, indeed, in that very same place in which he talks about his mother, says Rabbi Yosef Cohen that his mother had another chiddush, and that is she doesn't like the fact that people lit the candles way into the night. Now, on Yom Tov, you're allowed to transfer fire. On Yom Tov, you're allowed to light candles. So therefore, people said, hey, why do I need to light the candles before Yom Tov begins? 18 minutes before Shkia, whatever it is. Let me light the candles when my husband comes home from shul. I have enough to deal with, especially if it's a 2-day Yom Tov, a lot of food. Yeah, when he comes home, right before Kiddush, I'll transfer fire and I'll light candles. Said Rebetzin Baila, Mela, you do that on the second day Yom Tov. You have no choice. You have to wait till the first day ends in order to light the candles. But the fact that they do it on Erev Yom Tov before Yom Tov begins, it's not correct. It's much better. It's much better to accept Yom Tov, first of all, early. As Shabbos, we have a mitzvah of Tosefet Yom Tov. We should accept Yom Tov a little before Shkia. And since women accept Yom Tov and Shabbos by virtue of candles, then they should do it a few minutes before Shkia. Not wait till Yom Tov already is there, it's dark outside, and then light the candles. Just like we honor the day of Shabbos before Shabbos begins, so too we should honor the day of Yom Tov before Yom Tov begins. That's what the mother of the Rav Yosef Cohen said, the wife of the Prisha and the Drisha, and indeed the Pri Megadim comes along and says explicitly, Vadai mitzvah. Of course it's a mitzvah. Sheyedaluk lichvod Yom Tov kodem ben hashpashot. It's much better that the candles be lit before the day begins. So these are the two chidushim of Rebetzin Baila, and I'm glad we paid tribute to her today. Chidush number one, you should make the bracha on a weekday Yom Tov before you light the Yom Tov candles. Chiddush number two, you should light them before Yom Tov begins in order to honor the day prior to its onset.
Say,